My name is Kyle Hanohano, and for this project, I am recommending that Home Depot launch international business in Brazil. This presentation is about selling home improvement tool and truck rentals at Home Depot stores across the nation of Brazil. Brazil is one of the largest countries in the world. Brazil is the fifth largest country in the world by area and the sixth largest country by population. It is home to over 211 million people. Brazil occupies half the land mass of South America. Brazil is 87% urbanized. Major cities include the capital Brasilia with 4.6 million people, São Paulo with 13 million people, and the largest city is Rio de Janeiro with 22 million people. Brazil used to be a major colony of Portugal, and today Portuguese is still the official language. About 99% of people in Brazil speak Portuguese. Brazil has a blended racial makeup. It is approximately 48% white, 43% identifying as mixed or mulatto, mostly black and white, and then 8% black. Brazil has a literacy rate of 93% and 22% of the population is obese. The unemployment rate in Brazil is more than 28% in recent years. Brazilians place very great importance on their looks. Appearance, fashionable dress, and good looks are culturally significant in Brazil across class levels. Brazilians have a rich and vibrant social culture. Carnival is an intense week-long celebration involving huge parades that is held annually before Easter. Brazil also does suffer with wide economic inequality. There are large populations of low-class communities surrounding Brazil's largest cities called favelas. These sprawling neighborhoods have very poor construction quality and can be dangerous in general due to violent crime as well. The first ever Home Depot store was opened in Atlanta, Georgia in 1978. It was a huge warehouse that was much larger than competing hardware stores. The Home Depot company went public in 1981 and is now the world's largest home improvement retailer. It has over 2,200 stores in every American state, as well as Canada and Mexico. Home Depot is now worth more than $260 billion. The company employs nearly 400,000 people, and the typical store measures an average 105,000 square feet. Brazil's government was ruled under an authoritarian military dictatorship for several decades after a US-supported revolution beginning in 1964. Today, it has a democratic republic system similar to the US with a president, Congress, and Supreme Court. One difference there is that Brazil has a multi-party system with voters supporting a coalition of three major parties currently. Brazil legally recognizes the property rights of corporate shares and rights for shareholders. Property rights are usually enforced, although the courts system tends to be backed up. The current president, Bolsonaro, has indicated desire to strengthen trade relationships with the United States. The bureaucratic requirements in Brazil can add operational costs for businesses. The tax system is sophisticated, which makes accounting standards much more time-consuming to abide by. The process of preparing taxes in Brazil takes about 10 times longer than the US and far longer than other Latin American countries. The corporate tax rate in Brazil is 34% in general. Also, it usually takes roughly 30 to 45 business days to incorporate a legal entity in Brazil. Brazil has a richness of natural resources with large mining and agricultural industries. It has an abundance of land and lacks overtly harsh terrains. The natural disasters that occur there are limited to mainly drought and occasional flooding due to excessive rainfall. Brazil has a desirable location for conducting international business because it is located along the Atlantic Ocean with thousands of miles of coastline. Brazil has effectively raised the minimum wage for 2020 to about $258 a month. Brazil is ranked moderately high in systematically engaging in mercantilist trade policies, along with India, Indonesia, and Argentina, and behind China. Despite this, the US is one of the most crucial trade partners with Brazil. It is the second top export destination and second top import origin. Brazil's main exports are raw resources like iron ore, crude petroleum, soybeans, sugar, meat, coffee, and corn. Brazil's imports include lots of refined petroleum, electrical and mechanical products, electronics, as well as medical and chemical goods. Brazil has been a member of the World Trade Organization since 1995. Brazil's WTO membership has facilitated its ability to settle trade disputes, allowing it to be on the offense and defensive sides of many cases. Brazil is also a member of Mercosur, or Common Market of the South. Mercosur is a Latin American free trade zone consisting of Brazil, Uruguay, Paraguay, Argentina, Bolivia, and Venezuela. Mercosur also has a free trade agreement with the Andean Community, which includes Chile, Bolivia, Peru, Ecuador, and Colombia. The business culture in Brazil is sometimes highly complicated, and the Custo Brasil, or Brazil cost, refers to formalities that drive up the costs of doing business. As previously mentioned, taxes and administrative costs must be considered. Additionally, Brazil charges high tariffs and can have complex customs policies. Customs duties make up an entire 15% of the federal tax revenue in Brazil. An iPhone in Brazil can cost up to 150% compared to the price charged in the US. Overall, though, Brazil has taken initiative to further integrate into global markets since the country's severe recession of 2015 and 16. Brazil eased restrictions on local content requirement laws for production as of 2018. Brazil is a huge developing economy, considered to be one of the BRICS nations along with Russia, India, China, and South Africa. In several ways, the country faces challenges with poor infrastructure. Although a large majority of the freight there moves over land by road, only a meager 18% of all the country's highways are paved. Brazil spends more of its GDP on logistics than in more advanced countries with better transportation, and significant investment would be required to be on par with industrialized nations. Land transport is relatively inefficient also because Brazil has much less railroads per area than in the US. Although almost all of the country's international trade is conducted through its sea ports, shipping costs are far higher than the worldwide average, partially due to tariffs. Labor productivity is low at ports, and there are long wait times for cargo ships making deliveries. The Home Depot has become the largest home improvement chain in Mexico since entering that market in only 2001. A few years later, Home Depot acquired the second largest Mexican chain of home improvement stores, then called Home Mart, which doubled its presence in Mexico. Today, there are 124 stores located in Mexico, while Canada has 182 locations. Home Depot first expanded into Canada in 1994 when it acquired a chain of 5 stores around Toronto known as Aikenhead's Home Improvement Warehouse. Home Depot is now the leading home improvement retailer in Canada, in addition to the rest of North America. Acquisition seems to be the wise way to enter a new market, such as Brazil, although it should be noted that this strategy has not always proved successful for Home Depot. The company tried to expand in China in 2006 by acquiring 12 stores called Home Way. Unfortunately, the last of these stores closed in 2012, reportedly due to failure to meet consumer needs and culture.